Today I'm going to cover the banana handstand. Now most people when they're learning to handstand, they start with a banana position. Now I think it's actually quite simple to take a banana handstand into a straight handstand, but actually doing it is really challenging. Now I'll try and explain that in a little bit more detail. So most people when they first start handstanding, their handstand looks like this. So something like this position. Now all we want to do is take that and turn it into this. Now it seems simple. Now the most easiest way to get your head around how to do it is basically you just get two ends and you take them further apart. So if I had something bendy that was connected and all I done was pulled both ends, you would get a straight line eventually. Now ideally we want to do that in the handstand. So when I'm in that banana position, all I'm going to do is just reach for the ceiling with my toes. So if I'm here, I'm just going to reach for the ceiling with the toes, push the floor away and make myself as long as possible. There's a couple of main reasons why most people can't do that. One is flexibility, so they actually don't have the flexibility to enable that straight line position, and that's mainly in the shoulders or in the hips. And normally what happens when you go to that position, when you start to take the bendy position into a straighter position, your balance window gets smaller and smaller. So most people can't do this in this position. So they can't put their arms above their head in a shoulder width hand position and keep into a posterior tilt and have the legs together and point the toes all at the same time. Most people are too tight. One in the thoracic in the shoulders, so they look more like this. So when they put their arms above their head, it looks like this. So this position is way easier to hold the handstand. And the other area most people are stuck or have imbalances is the hips. So they actually can't get their hip to be in a straight line. Or they can get their hip in the straight line and their shoulders in a straight line, but not at the same time. So then they try and correct the shoulder and it affects the hip, or they try and correct the hip and it affects the shoulder. So a good way of trying to do it to see whether you have the mobility to do it is do it very close to the wall, get someone to spot you and try and push out of the position into your dead straight line and see if you can still hold a conversation in that position. If you find that as soon as you go from this position to this position, now you can't talk, basically that means you don't have the flexibility to do that with least amount of energy. Now when we use the least amount of energy, that allows us to still balance at the same time. So do that test, up against the wall, have someone spot you and see if you can reach up into your best possible position and still breathe the same, still hold a conversation in that position. If you can, then you can start to work towards the straighter position and just create more balance there, so more time in that position and do what I've done then. So it might not be push out into a dead straight line, it might initially to be pushed somewhere in between and try and ride that edge between balance and a straight line so you can still hold some balance but it's a bit better straight line, and then over time slowly increase the line and make it straighter and straighter. If it's flexibility, then we need to work on line positioning, so like body line positioning, like this chest to wall position, really focusing on getting a dead straight line. We need to work on active mobility in the thoracic, in the shoulders, in exercises like this. And flexibility in the hips with exercises like this. So I recommend you do some self-assessment, see if you can put your arms above your head, see if you can stand with a posterior tilt with the legs together and everything in that one position, and try and hold a conversation while you're there. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions on this one. Thumbs up and subscribe would be appreciated, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks guys.